Hello, I'm Cinnamon Alvarez, author of Generating Your Own Happiness, and today we're going to talk about mindfulness because in the book, Generating Your Own Happiness, I do talk quite a bit about the importance of mindfulness, but I don't necessarily recommend specific mindfulness practices. So I want to go over some of that for you so you have that available. By the way, I really do believe that there's not one right way or wrong way. The right way for you is the one that you do and you practice and you implement. So I want you to get that first. But what is mindfulness? So mindfulness is the ability to be aware of what you're feeling, sensing, thinking without interpretation or judgment. That's it. It's like the ability to observe without making meaning. So I think most commonly when we think of mindfulness practices, we think of meditation. So there are actually two different types of meditation. There is concentration meditation, which teaches you, it's a practice that helps you focus or direct your attention, which is very valuable. And so most commonly a mindfulness meditation practice, you might focus your attention on your breathing or on a mantra or on a candle flame, things like that. And then there's also just awareness-based concentration where you're not directing your attention, you're taking the position of being the observer and you're just improving your awareness. And again, without judgment. That's a very important part of that. And by the way, I am not an expert in teaching meditation, so I do want that as a disclaimer, although meditation is a great practice to help you with mindfulness. I have a quote also I want to read to you that I think will help explain mindfulness to you. So this quote is by Sylvia Boorstein, and excuse me because I'm going to read it. It says, "Mindfulness meditation doesn't change life. Life remains as fragile and unpredictable as ever. Meditation changes the heart's capacity to accept life as it is. It teaches the heart to be more accommodating, not by beating into submission, but by making it clear that accommodation is a gratifying choice." And again, that quote was by Sylvia Bernstein from Don't Just Do Something, Sit There. So I hope that that helps you think of how meditation. In my book, I engage you to practice mindfulness by asking you a lot, what are you saying to yourself? Because, and I talk more in depth than I'm going to right now, but a lot of times we're not really aware of the conversations that we're having with ourselves. So for example, there's the character Sally, and I say, in the very beginning, we look at how Sally has a meltdown from shooting herself. So she has these expectations she's telling herself of what things should and shouldn't look like. But there's so much more. I can guarantee you that if you practice mindfulness and you start to become aware of how you're feeling, then when you're not feeling happy, when you're feeling irritated, agitated, sad, mad, angry, afraid, any of those things, soreness in your body, I like to use those as indicators to ask myself, what am I saying to myself? I can almost guarantee you, okay, I'll guarantee you that if you're upset about something, there's something you're telling yourself. There's some assessment that you've made about your circumstances, something going on that you think is bad or wrong. So rather than beat yourself up over being unhappy, you could be like, wow, okay, there's something here I'm telling myself that's making me unhappy. What expectation or judgment do I have that's producing this result? I'm cheating and looking at my notes a little bit. Oh, one of the other practices, so I'm pretty good at being mindful of what my body is telling me. I was a fitness instructor. I owned a jazzercise fitness franchise for 15 years. And one of the greatest things about exercise, so I think exercise is also a great form of mindfulness practice if you're really paying attention to the technique and how your body feels, because that was a benefit for me. So I have pretty good mind-body awareness from that practice, and so I can almost go the reverse way if I'm feeling something in my body. And a lot of times too, I'll just stop myself at practice and I'll ask myself, what emotion am I feeling? So in my book I say, ask yourself, are you happy, mad, sad, afraid? It's a very good, easy practice to practice for yourself. I also like other practices. I like guided meditation. For example, I love body scan meditation, which is also used in yoga practices, where someone will guide you through being aware of each part of your body. Some people will start at the head and others will start at the toe, but you basically scan your way up. Some will have you like tighten that part of the body and then relax, or breathe into different parts of the body. So that's another really great practice. There are many, many, many more, which I don't want to necessarily get into right now, but hopefully that helps you. What else do I want to say before we jump into the Let's Play exercises? If you're looking in my book for where mindfulness is important, start at chapter 11, positive or negative. So, a lot of times we're taught just to have a positive attitude. Well, mindfulness comes into play here because you may not realize what it is that you're saying that's negative, positive or negative. And again, remember, the goal here is to notice, not to make yourself wrong for having some negative beliefs and thoughts. And then, so I'm going to give you a Let's Play exercise. Are you ready? I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you one from the end of chapter 11, positive or negative. So, okay, so this is for when you're upset. This is a good one. What negative chatter is playing in your mind? Notice an area where you feel disempowered and ask yourself, what am I saying to myself? And there's an example in the book of where I give real life scenario where I was not feeling super empowered as a stepmother, and I share that story in here. So if that's interesting to you, it's really valuable. Sometimes you just don't realize you've got this crazy talk. I call them monkeys. Some people call them mind chatter in your head, telling you things that don't really serve you. Okay, so then I'm going to give you another exercise, a Let's Play exercise from chapter 15, which is called Restoring Integrity, actually. And here it is. How can you practice mindfulness each day? What feelings do you normally judge as bad? So remember, I don't care which mindfulness practice you use the one that works for you, and hopefully you understand more thoroughly now the benefits and the ideal scenario when you're practicing your mindfulness or meditation. Just one more thing I want to say about it, because a question did come up recently. When you meditate, and this happens to me all of the time, and your mind wanders, ask yourself if that's a bad thing, versus just noticing, oh, my mind is wandering. And then if you're practicing directing your focus, so for example, if you're meditating on your breath, then you notice, oh, my mind is wandering, come back to focusing my attention on my breath. So there you go. I hope that was helpful, and thank you so much. You know I love you. As always, hope that doesn't make you uncomfortable.